For trial in August after hanging a noose at a middle school in Crofton. Connor Proud and John Haberman both face 9 misdemeanor charges. Over the weekend, the community turned out to support the school and send a message that hate is not okay and the noose symbol is not a joke.
To illustrate that point, we did a little research. Reporter Scott Broom looked up the last lynching in Maryland history. Turns out it actually wasn't that long ago. It happened in 1933 in Princess Anne, Maryland, in Somerset County on the Eastern Shore. Now you're about to meet relatives of the last man strung up by the noose before authorities finally put an end to it.
Here it is. This is the historic old jailhouse in Princess Anne, Maryland. The place is still the town police headquarters. Nice little town, real quiet, historic courthouse. So now imagine out here, more than 1,000 people, a mob, one night in October of 1933, screaming. They had battering rams with them, baseball bats and other weapons, and they wanted inside this jailhouse where a young man named George Armwood, who'd been accused of assaulting an older white lady, was locked up. The crowd eventually used battering rams to ram down the door. Several law officers were injured, but the crowd got Armwood, and there was going to be a lynching.
Hey, young fella. Good to see you guys.
University of Maryland Eastern Shore professor Dr. Kirkland Hall and Henry Armwood of Prince George's County. Both are distant cousins to the victim that night.
Things that can happen, that did happen, they could happen again.
Once they were able to storm through the front door, they went up the stairway and allegedly threw him downstairs. They took him down and found a tree close to the judge's house.
Now, once the crowd had Armwood, they tied him to the back of a truck and they dragged him down this street. Along the way, he was shot, he was stabbed. They hung him in one tree near the judge's house, took him down, hung him up again closer to downtown, and they lit his body on fire.
After all the fun was over, this is where they left him.
The mob dumped Armwood's body in the lumber yard behind his hardware store. It's still here.
We talk about ISIS and all Al-Qaeda and all those type of organizations. And look what they did to him.
What was happening here was pure terrorism.
The messages stay in your place. That terrorist symbol and the use of that, trying to keep us in our place.
The noose is not just a symbol to these men, it's as real as the stones of this old jailhouse.
Doing what terrorists try to do, intimidate and change people's behavior through fear.
So that's why leaving nooses around is some kind of message of intimidation, whatever. That's not a prank. It's not a joke. It's right out of the terrorist and racist playbook, and it's why the surviving relatives of George Armwood fear it's way too short a distance from leaving nooses around and actually acting on the hate that smolders in the minds of way too many people. In Princess Anne, Maryland, Scott Broom, WUSA 9.
Now, the evidence against George Armwood was thin. An attempt by state authorities to prosecute the whites accused of leading the last lynching in Maryland resulted in the National Guard firing tear gas to clear mobs in Salisbury in 1935. A local jury dismissed the charges.
18,000